Welcome back to Tools and Track. If, like me, you're a petrol head, there's a pretty good chance when you were a child, you had the Matchbox toys. So, I feel like we need to discuss this because I had one of these, and if, like me, you are a proper petrol head, you probably know what this is. It's a Matra Rancho, French thing. Simca made them, and I thought this must have been a very common thing. I've never seen one of these in the flesh, and now since having brought this in to do the filming with it, nobody seems to know what I'm talking about. That is a pretty distinctive looking car, isn't it? And if, like me, you thought I need to catch them all like Pokemon and own every car on the face of the planet, that would be a challenging one to get. So I bought the next best thing. Pretty similar, isn't it? Which made me think, is that the same designer? So I did a wee bit of Wikipedia, and would you believe it? No, it's not. Anyway, let's go and have a look at what I bought. Oh, this is high up, isn't it? MReg Land Rover Series 1 Discovery. Why? Well, like I did allude to before we bought the MX-5, at some point this year I hope to have a running low cost. Now, running doesn't necessarily mean road legal, and we're going to have to do some shakedowns on it, which means if I can get a trailer and something to lug it, we can probably get it on track, which is good for Tools and Track, isn't it? As a result, big tow bus. However, in typical me being an arsehole style, this is not the 300 or any form of diesel. It's the 4 litre V8 petrol, and I bet you're all wondering how it sounds. Bad. Understandably, this is an MOT fail. There is corrosion, naturally, but it's not too bad. This is actually a Japanese import. So, as a result, 80,000 kilometres or miles, I'm not sure because there's a sticker over the bit that says K on the dashboard, but it is actually in pretty good condition. Being a big 4x4, I was able to scuttle underneath before I bought it and have a good look. The chassis is good, there's just a couple of bits of welding in the body. But the biggest issue, which we're going to have to address right now, is the fact that the 2 exhaust manifolds are made out of, well, mesh, death and rust. Before we do anything, we need to deal with that. Okay, first step done, we have fixed that. It does sound a lot healthier, and I've just noticed one of these things about big V8 cars that I miss in the TVR is when you do this and the whole car shakes. Right, up next, rust. Let's see how bad it actually is. How much soil these hold in. Yeah, they're good for rust. Oh, look, just a tiny wee bit of welding. That's nothing. That's fine. I don't see a problem there.
Bit backwards, there you go.
There you go. That way I know where the line is. That's good. That's good. Yeah, man. Cool.
Quite a strong sense of like deja vu. It's It's almost like we've had this happen before.
Yep. So, let's be honest here. I should have probably checked for rust before we started doing the exhausts. Save myself some time. Except, that's not the case, because this isn't actually the worst thing in the world to save. Now, let's start by doing a bit of an analysis. You'll notice that the driver's side is far worse than the passenger side. Now, the reason for this being, this hole here. This is classic wet shoe syndrome. Water has gathered here, dribbled to the lowest point, which is clearly that sill line, rotted through, and then dissolved, or just sat and gradually dissolved everything under here. Now these sidebars don't exactly help, because they have sandwiched a lot of moisture from the outside, but the argument can be made that on the other side, it's not as bad. Granted, there's obviously still corrosion, which is quite bad at the back end, but there's still a lot of sill here that still exists. So the question has to be asked, is it the bars that have done the rust? Well, probably not, because that's all still there. Granted, we've still got rust repairs to do, but the clue is in the lack of hole in this side. So, if you're ever getting in and out of cars, do it with clean, dry shoes, I guess. Anyway, for the moment, I need to wrap this and we'll come back to it, because in typical Tools and Track fashion, I have a queue of rusty shite to be getting done on this ramp. But let's time hop to the bit where that's done and we get our tow vehicle done. By the way, this has obviously been bought to move the low cost around, so in my mind I'm clarifying this is low cost content, because it's to tow the low cost. Okay, well I've worked out I can actually get it in this unit with enough leverage on the door, so that's a positive step. I don't really like welding outside. I don't know what you guys think of it. I know some folk don't really care, but I'm a relative novice to welding, and I always find that the lightest breeze will take the gas that you're using for MIG welding and blow it away. The weld quality is not that great. If I can avoid it, I always make sure I do my welding indoors, preferably with the door shut to stop any nonsense. So first step first, we're going to have to get the sills what we've established are pretty much gone already, cut back until we can find good metal. Now this isn't exactly a new process, you know what's involved, but I'll get this dressed back and we'll get it ready to weld. Then we'll have a wee chat on how easy it is to weld sills onto a Land Rover. Damn, that's a lot of rust. See what I mean? There's really not a lot to it. There's a very good reason for that, I should point out. Much like the TVR we did in the past, the Land Rover has what's called a body on chassis. Now what that means is, you have a chassis here, and onto it you drop a body, and you bolt it on with a number of nuts and bolts. Now, that might seem quite agricultural. Correct. It's a Land Rover. It's meant to be. This is a very robust and tough way of making a car. The trade-off to that is it's not particularly light. But it's a Land Rover. It doesn't need to be. So this is all fine. As a result though, it has some interesting points you need to consider for the MOT. First and foremost, this part here, the chassis, must be structurally intact. It ties in all your suspension mounts, all of your engine mounts, everything on this car, including the body itself, bolts onto the chassis. If you've got any rust in the chassis, you're going to have problems. As it happens, one of the main reasons I bought this thing is there's zero. The chassis is pretty much intact. Everything we've found so far, including the sills, are part of the body. So that has a couple of trade-offs. It's good because you can just rot out wherever you want, but it's bad because if you buy a used Land Rover, there's a pretty good chance that this has suffered years and years of rot because it's not actually an MOT fail as long as it's not structural. So why would you bother fixing it? Well, I bother fixing it because I want the car to last more than 20 minutes on the UK roads. So that takes us to the body itself. Like I said, if the chassis is the only thing that matters for an MOT, why did the body fail for rust? Well, there's only a few parts of the body that still must have structural integrity. And we have failed in this point here on the lower B pillar. Why is that a big issue? Because that is where the seatbelt anchors for your crash protection. If that goes and you have a crash, there's a good chance the seatbelt's going to come out with it and you are going to go somewhere in that direction. Not ideal. So out of all the areas in the body, the most crucial one that I need to deal with is the seatbelt anchor points. The good news is, this is, as I've said, really basic. Because the sills aren't structural. All they need to do is keep the body from flexing around. They don't bear any road weight or any real, torsional load. That's all taken care of by the chassis. As a result, the sills are really quite basic. Obviously not to scale. Passenger seat, driver's seat, looking at the front of the car. This we'll do in a bit more detail. What you have here is literally this. The floor comes out and it comes down like that. Nice bit of formed sheet steel. What we then have is a lip up here, which the door trim goes around. Then it's nice and simple square box section. The bottom of that will weld down onto here, and then it's basically a Z shape that comes up to there, and then another link that goes into the front. This is a C section box section. If you buy the replacement sill, that is what we'll weld on. We have a bit of luck on the passenger side though, that I can intercept it here and just make up a panel that looks like that, because our tops are alright. Unfortunately on my driver's side, well, we don't even have half of this. That's in tatters, and there is nothing out here whatsoever. So we're gonna have to get pretty creative. Got a bit ballsy welding outside, the wind's picked up, so we're now back inside. So got the front half done, good progress, but we now need to do the middle bit and then the back bit, and the door's just in the way. However, it's actually quite simple. I've got a number of multi-plugs in the back, which power, I'm guessing, speakers and electric window, two 10mm bolts for the door catch, and a T something to take all the bolts out. And it just lifts off. Well, that's not bad. I've done it in two stages, as you've probably guessed, because it's just not easy when you don't have a path and sill to go on to make it all line up in one shot. Besides which, this is a utility vehicle. I'm not getting really hung up in the presentation of this. As long as it works and it's solid, that's all I'm really looking for. The last thing I need to do, which is going to be a bit tricky, is the whole reason this thing's failed is because of corrosion around here. Now this is already crumbled, so I couldn't really show you very well. But what's supposed to happen is, this is a folded U-section panel, right? But it tapers down and all mates flat on the bottom here. We're gonna get a wee bit creative and just make something off car so that I can line it up, trim it to match profile, seam weld it along, a few spot welds, get a door back on. And keen to do that because I've still got the other side to do. But at least, thank God, that's one side done. Right, that looks okay, but I've got one last thing to do. Now earlier on the whiteboard, I pointed out that the door seal check was part of the front, sill line. It's not. Here's what I've retained from the Rusty Pile of Doom. That's your floor panel, and that curves around and comes down to the outer sill. And you'll see here in the top, what looks suspiciously like a length of angle iron, just welded on to make a door check. Now, either this is astute cost cutting on Land Rover's part, because you can just add this later and it's easily replaced, or what I suspect, the team that made the doors assumed that the people who made the floors were going to deal with the door seal. Similarly, the different team that made the floors assumed the people who were making the doors were going to deal with the door seal. And then at the very end, when they built the car, there ain't no door seals and that. They've had to hurriedly put on a length of angle iron to deal with it. Which one do you think is true?
Give me some time to be me. Give me the space that I need. Give me a reason to be. Give me some time to be. I gotta open my eyes to see. Give me the air that I breathe. Give me the taste that is sweet. Feeding the space that's in me. Just free me. Just free me. Just free. Out on a ledge can make it. Out of my depth can face it. Life ain't easy. Living with dreams that free me. So give me the words that fall free. Give me the song that I sing. Listening hard to hear me.
Okay, one fully welded up Land Rover. That is now more or less ready to go for an MOT, I hope. So, in the next episode, final bits of tar up, and then we are going to look to see what is involved with getting an old shonky British vehicle through an MOT. Being British, I thought we'd have some British music today, bit of classic Britpop. I've gave up with copyright-free music because there's no point in trying to get any revenue from YouTube, because I've got 4,000 subscribers and it's a pittance, so I give up. Ads are off. Don't care anymore. If you want to support, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. In the meantime, we'll actually put decent music on, not run ads. You're welcome. Patreon.com/toolsandtrack. Like, subscribe, bell, and I'm going to say share. Please, if you like this, share it, because nobody seems to do that, and I think that's probably the reason why I've been doing this for nearly 5 years now, and I've still only got 4,000 subscribers. So do the thing. Please do the share. It helps. And until next weekend, guys, drive safe. which takes us to the body itself. So, why did it fail in MOT? Oh, for fuck's sake, that's the end of that lid.